It's more than 20 years since a ceasefire was called in the Karabakh conflict, but Azerbaijan and Armenia still haven't come to a lasting settlement. Up to 30,000 people were killed and more than 1 million displaced. I'm Andrew Hopkins and I'm talking to Azerbaijan's Foreign Minister Elmar Mammadyarov one-on-one. First of all, I wanted to ask you, the Azerbaijan Defense Ministry recently said that Armenia had violated the ceasefire line about 87 times in the Karabakh area in a 24-hour period. How would you describe the situation in that area at the moment?
It's not occasional, because if 87 times it's pretty low, the violation of ceasefire regime from Armenian side, because on the line of contact there is not, sometimes we call it as a sporadic shootings, but it's much more often than someone expects. Because people are in trenches very near to each other, and sometimes the trenches between the line of contact between each other, it's less than 100 meters. So of course that's a huge dangerous, and the violation of the ceasefire, it's one of the prerogative when they say just you cannot expect but that the more serious clashes can be started after these sporadic shootings.
But what's the situation like on the ceasefire line right now? Are you worried that there could be a return to something like in the early part of 2016?
I think that if we work in this regard, that first and utmost importance, the major issue that the Armenian troops will be withdrawn from the occupied territories, then that will be answered, because when the diplomats are talking, sometimes generals keep silent. Yeah? So in that case, so far as we agree that after the electoral processes will finished in Armenia and Azerbaijan, who are moved into this presidential, and in case of Armenia, the prime ministership, electoral processes most probably in the mid of May, we will, as agreed with the co-chairs, will seriously intensify the negotiations, as was already proposed in Krakow by co-chairs.
I just wanted to press you again on one particular aspect of this, but what's your evaluation of the situation on the ceasefire line at the moment? You say these sort of 87 violations, that's not as high as it has been. So are things relatively calm at the moment, or are you worried?
87 is considered from the point of military as a calm situation, because it was much higher violation of the ceasefire. And again, the situation is not so good as someone can imagine. Let me speak absolutely frankly. And yes, we try to keep it under the control from the point of view that let's talk, because frustration is coming to the minds of the people. There is no doubt of that. And in that case, when frustration is coming, so what we want to say, they say just, okay, diplomacy has failed. I personally, as the foreign minister, do not think that diplomacy is still exhausted, but we need to redouble or even triple our efforts to do it.
And you said as well that there have been resolutions passed at the United Nations, but so far there's been no movement on that. So what's your strategy at the moment to try and get a lasting settlement in this area?
That's our strategy, is continue to educate international community through the different international organizations, different, like for example, non-aligned movement, and precisely I can tell you more and more understanding in the world. It's like in physics. The critical mass at the end of the story will bring some results, and of course we expect that it will be just result, because international law on the side of Azerbaijan. If you look inside of the principles, including the principle of territorial integrity, if you read Helsinki Final Act, on which we are basically introducing the settlement of the conflict. There is a territorial integrity of the country, and without the permission of the country, you cannot use the other principles like self-determination. And besides that, I also want to say that principle of self-determination by no means means that it's going to violate the internationally recognized borders and within the territorial integrity. I can name a lot of nations who self-determined quite successfully within the different countries.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you
very much.
Thanks
for your time. Very good.